There's news today that is giving us a bigger Tesla stock buying opportunity, but people are missing this. This is pretty insane, says James, and he has been a critic of full self-driving. This post shows that someone's guest had his AI4 Model 3 for a month and almost never touched the steering wheel. 99% of the driving was done on full self-driving. It is difficult to comprehend what's happening right now if you don't have a Tesla vehicle with FSD, because you just hear from people saying stuff about FSD, and you have heard Elon Musk talk about FSD for years now, but this time it's actually different. And of course, we still have people like this. I can assure everyone in other states it is not like this. It's undrivable in South Carolina. And you may be right, says James, who has been a big critic of full self-driving before. But if it's doing this well in California, the proof of concept is complete and it's only a matter of time. Stop and think about this for a moment. Remember Tony Sacconaghi? He just announced retirement and he was one of the bigger Tesla bears. And Craig Irvin, who was one of the biggest Tesla stock bears, he's also changing his tune. However, a long time ago, for one brief moment of time, he did have a buy rating for Tesla stock, only to change it to sell shortly after that. And then he had hold ratings, which are actually quite misleading, because for a long time his Tesla stock price target was well under $100 per share, and suddenly just now he changed his rating to buy. And if history has any relevance for predicting the future, we can look at his past behavior, and he did say buy right before a big increase in Tesla stock price, although he changed it to sell. Maybe the same thing is going to happen again, but that's not really the most important thing. The most important thing is that we are seeing long-time bears become bulls. Or in the case of James, admit that actually there's some huge potential with FSD and it's happening sooner rather than later. And looking at the bulls, for example, for Zad, he says that it feels like it's 2019 again. And in 2019, Tesla stock was pretty low. And just looking back to 2019, we are approximately 20 times higher compared to where we were back in 2019. Anyway, what's causing today's Tesla stock buying opportunity this morning? The markets are certainly missing the big picture, and us patient Tesla stock investors are going to be greatly rewarded. It's not like there hasn't been a single time where the market has never dropped irrationally, overreacted based on short-term news. What's happening right now is, remember how Tesla said that they will increase prices in Canada by as much as $9,000? Well, it's now official, they did it, and that's largely because of the tariffs. Significant tariffs to Canada have been applied by the US, and Canada just retaliated basically with the exact same tariffs. So Tesla is definitely affected, and it gets even messier than this. This is the former finance minister of Canada, and she wants to replace Trudeau as the Prime Minister of Canada, and she just proposed that Canada should actually impose 100% tariffs on every single Tesla coming into Canada. Obviously, some emotional investors would go ahead and rush to sell some of their Tesla stock, including traders, but I think all of that is way overblown because Trump also put tariffs on Mexico, and just now, news broke out that actually he will put these tariffs on pause for Mexico. He hasn't announced anything about Canada, and maybe for Canada it will take a little bit more time, but I believe that these two countries, the US and Canada, they will work something out and the tariffs will not really be a problem. This is just a political tool for Trump to get what he actually wants. The market fears, I believe personally, are just way overblown. There's also some news from Europe. We got some year-over-year sales figures coming out from that, and there are a few things to really remember here. Number one, everyone now knows that the refresh Model Y is coming out, so if you are going to buy a new vehicle and you want the newest thing, of course you will not buy a vehicle now and you will wait just for a month or two. For Tesla, however, to do well in the long term, full self-driving is a lot more important than latest quarterly sales. Anyway, all of these news stories I just shared with you are contributing to the Tesla stock buying opportunity today, and now on to some good news. Tesla got a huge upgrade here from August. They raised their Tesla stock price target to $488, up from $286, almost a doubling, not quite, but almost. Mizuho reiterated their Tesla stock outperform rating with a price target of $515. They believe that robotaxis are a huge growth lever for Tesla, obviously. And Tesla unveiled this video saying that this robot sucks. It truly does. It actually sucks pretty well. It's good at sucking, and it's going to help Tesla with its robotaxis eventually. And I like how it sucks all these bottles in. I think this is not exactly super important because Tesla would figure this out anyway, but it's really nice to see that Tesla is making moves to actually think long term and think through problems like how do we keep the inside of the robotaxi clean. Clearly this robot is going to be a big part of that. I'm pretty sure that some people are thinking that maybe Tesla is going to use this robot for all their vehicles, but Tesla has already. But I think this robot specifically was built for the robotaxi, and the way the robotaxi was built was also probably just to make it a bit easier for the robot to clean everything, and the Model 3, the Model Y have not really been built like that. For example, see how there's no center console here separating the two seats? The robot can just go through here easily. That's not the case with a Model 3 or a Model Y. So at least for now, I wouldn't expect to see these vacuum robots at Tesla service centers cleaning Tesla vehicles. And many of us probably had an experience of getting into a taxi and getting in the vehicle and something smells weird, or the vehicle is not exactly the cleanest vehicle on the inside. Well, this shouldn't really happen with the Cybercab. And the narrative is truly changing. Look at what CNBC is reporting about Tesla. Tesla owned the narrative, but Elon has also overpromised and underdelivered on robotaxis for years. And then they continue. This year, though, could be the real deal. CNBC admits that FSD V13 requires little to no interventions. So the narrative indeed is changing, and it's changing quickly. And those who buy Tesla stock only after full self-driving is apparently definitely safer than human driving. I don't think the returns of these investors are going to be nowhere near as high as those who are in Tesla stock today, patiently waiting for that to eventually happen. There is some good news for Hardware 3 owners. We should be getting the newest FSD version now. There's a pretty big wave rolling out right now, so check your vehicle if you have a Hardware 3 car. And there's a new V13 version as well that's rolling out. The V13 update should be a relatively minor update, but it's still good to see a new update. Also, remember this video where Tesla vehicles were driving themselves inside the Tesla factory? And these drives actually were a few minutes long, so they were not just 5 seconds driving by themselves. No, at least the video demonstrated a longer drive. But we just found out that Tesla is implementing fully autonomous, no human driver, new car movement from the Giga Texas factory to the west side end of line outbound lot. So that's today. It's already happening today, and we're gonna get some video probably from Joe Tagmeyer showing this. So this is not something that was just mentioned on the earnings call. Oh yeah, we're doing it now. No. We can actually see starting today that this is actually happening. And we are going to have an independent third party, Joe Tagmeyer, verify this. And he just came back from the factory, and we now know from him that yes, there were vehicles driving autonomously, so that's good. But not the Cybertrucks yet. These were all driven by human drivers. And by the way, these Tesla autonomous vehicles that were shown in the video before by Tesla, these are all from California, but Joe Tagmeyer is in Texas. So we're talking about two different factories here. So we now know that there are at least two factories where Teslas drive themselves to the outbound lot after production. Now, when will Tesla release full self-driving in Europe? In the earnings deck, we saw that that should happen this year in 2025. Now, Omar says that Tesla is working hard on bringing FSD to Europe, and that the holdup is regulations, which are starting to change, and he thinks that highway release is possible by Q4. And this is quite nice. Dan O'Dow just got caught spreading complete misinformation here. Driving off the production line autonomously is a new. Mercedes demonstrated this 7 years ago in 2017, and both BMW and Xiaomi also do it. But the deluded Tesla cultists think it's something so amazing that only Tesla could do it. And then there's a community note here saying, I work at BMW. The cars are controlled externally and are not driving themselves. And BMW itself states on its website, unlike autonomous driving in road traffic, the vehicles do not guide themselves using their built-in sensors, but instead use sensors along the factory route. And here's an incentive for people to use Tesla's insurance, and FSD. The more you drive with FSD supervised enabled, the bigger the discount is on your insurance premium if you got the insurance through Tesla. This new policy is currently only for Tesla insurance customers in Arizona and Texas, but I believe this will expand into other states as well. And to get the discount is actually pretty easy. So you can get the 10% discount if you drive 50% or more of your miles with FSD. If I'm in the car by myself on drives where I turn FSD on, and I don't turn FSD on every single drive because some drives are only like 1 minute long or 2 minutes long, and it takes more time to put in the destination than it takes me to just drive there manually. So I don't turn on FSD on every single drive, but on drives when I do, and as long as I'm alone in the vehicle, I think well over 95% of my miles driven are on FSD, and it's probably closer to about 98%, maybe even 99%. If I'm not alone in the vehicle, it definitely drops down significantly because I do disengage from time to time. And I think when I do that, if I have passengers, they just get a little like, they're asking me what's going on. They're thinking maybe there's something wrong that's happening. So sometimes I don't engage it all that often, but it's still a significant number even when I'm not by myself in the vehicle. And just to be clear, probably about 99% of my disengagements are just for comfort or for time-saving sake. For example, let's say I see that there are 2 lanes and one lane has 4 vehicles and the other lane has 2 vehicles and say traffic light stop. I will, of course, naturally want to be on the lane with 2 vehicles, but sometimes FSD sticks to the lane that has 4 vehicles, making my total drive longer. Here's the former Uber CEO saying that Tesla has a huge advantage for manufacturing robotaxis. Of course, Tesla will dominate, and when you have competitors admit, oh, you're the best, you have the advantage. Yeah, you know you're doing good. Elon Musk also reposted this. Tesla is uniquely positioned to manufacture a humanoid robot. We really have by far the best team of humanoid robotics engineers in the world. And we also have all the other ingredients necessary. In Canada, Tesla increased prices, but in the US, Tesla actually reduced prices for the Cybertruck and Model 3 leasing. Now, these are actually significant reductions, 17% for Cybertruck, 17% for the Model 3 as well. And on top of that, with these leasing options, you can still apply the $7,500 federal tax EV credit. Tesla is offering another incentive here. US customers who purchase a new Tesla Model 3 using a referral code will now receive a $2,500 discount, up from just $500 before. And here's some good news. Tesla says that the white interior is now sold out on the new launch series Model Y in the US, so you can only buy black now. So either Tesla is having a manufacturing problem or there's just too much demand, and likely it's just a bit too much demand for Tesla to catch up with it. Tesla has emerged as the leader in vehicle lifespan and mileage among various car brands and fuel times as per a recent study. What a shocker. So how long do Teslas last? Well, Tesla EVs are expected to cover an average of 204,000 miles over their lifetime, surpassing all other brands regardless of powertrain. This significantly outpaces the average for electric cars, which stood at just 124,000 miles. So this is an even bigger disappointment of regular electric cars that are not Teslas in the US. They only last 124,000 miles on average. What? Although when compared to gasoline cars, it's not that bad. For example, Audi LED, keep in mind, LED, so it's at the top. Gasoline cars with an estimated lifetime mileage of 143,000 miles. Now, for example, Lexus is at about 130,000 miles, so Audi actually did better. But in the meantime, you're going to spend a lot more money maintaining an Audi than a Lexus. But this is actually a pretty good spreadsheet to show someone if they are thinking, should I buy an electric vehicle or no? Obviously, EVs last much longer. Well, specifically Teslas do. Troy releases deliveries estimate for 2025. He estimates that Tesla will deliver 1.772 million units. The analyst consensus right now is a little bit over 2 million units. So Troy is probably a bit skeptical about Tesla's more affordable model launching this year. If his estimate comes to fruition, then that would mean that Tesla would have a 1% year-over-year decline decline. He expects sales to drop in the US and Europe, but to increase in China. This could be quite interesting. Elon Musk said that he will be doing a live in-person talk this week with JP Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon. And recently, Jamie Dimon actually said about Elon Musk, "The guy is our Einstein. I would like to be helpful to him and his companies as much as we can." The tariffs on Mexico temporarily have been paused, but the tariffs on Canada, as I'm recording this video, have not been. And that has a huge impact. The US car prices face a potential $3,000 increase due to the tariffs. The auto sector is going to shut down within a week, said the president of Canada's Automotive Parts Manufacturers Association. At 25%, absolutely nobody in our business is profitable by a long shot. The duties would immediately hit almost 1/4 of the 16 million vehicles that are sold in the US each year, as well as the parts and components that go into them, an import market that totaled $225 billion in 2024. So tariffs will add about $60 billion in cost to the industry. But I believe that all of this is going to be worked out and that this is just a political tool for Trump to get what he actually wants. Now, if this lasts a little bit longer, it would be bad for Tesla in Canada, but in the US, actually, I think Tesla would have more demand because most of Tesla's parts come from the US. So out of all of the US manufacturers that make vehicles, Tesla would be the least negatively impacted, meaning Tesla would have the most pricing power. Everyone else would have to increase their prices, but Tesla, maybe not really. So while Tesla in Canada would experience some pain, in the US, it would actually be doing pretty well. And maybe by how much better it would be doing in the US, it would completely offset how much it would lose in Canada, and maybe the sales overall would even be better than before. But I don't think it's really that relevant anyway, because I think all of this is going to be resolved. But if it does last a longer time, I'm just saying it's actually not bad for Tesla. And look at this. The governor of Delaware has issued a response to companies leaving Delaware, because it's not just Tesla leaving now. There's been talks about Meta leaving and Dropbox. It's really important we get it right for Elon Musk or whoever the litigants are in Delaware courts. We are cognizant that there may be some things that need to change. We are going to work on them. So it's now pretty much official that the governor of Delaware actually supports Elon Musk's legal arguments in the case of Delaware. And you know what's the most interesting thing about all of this is? He's a Democrat. He's not a Republican. Although admittedly, the language that he used was pretty soft, so it would be easy for him to backtrack later if he has to, but it was still very clearly positive and supporting Elon Musk's case. James has a question here. This is Tesla's logo on the new Model Y in China, which you can see here. And everywhere else, the Tesla Model Y looks like this without a logo. And he says that China is the only market where sales are growing. And Tesla, of course, is a status symbol in China. Did Tesla decide to remove the branding from the new Model Y outside of China to save 5 cents per vehicle on the car emblem, or is there a different reason? I have something to say about this. This is a Tesla Model 3, the refreshed Tesla Model 3, and as you can see, it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can call them logos. Let's call them 5 logos because it's definitely about 5 times more expensive to have this, at least in terms of material costs, compared to just having one Tesla logo right here, smack in the middle, just like how it used to be. So this move from Tesla is interesting. The reason earlier why they decided to spell out Tesla, and this is an explanation directly from Tesla, is because some people were not aware that these are Tesla vehicles. So if someone would see it in the wild and they would want to see what car it is, they had no idea and they couldn't find it. But now they can because it's literally spelled out. So removing the branding from the vehicles, that's interesting. Personally, this is just my personal preference. I do like having a Tesla logo on my vehicle and I would prefer to have it. Well, this is good. Tesla just got a contract to install $144 million worth of Megapacks in Japan. In Japan, not Australia, Japan. So that's pretty interesting. I'm wondering though, if Japan is going to accept Megapacks made in China. I'm really wondering about that. But anyway, getting back to tariffs. The reason why Trump paused the tariffs on Mexico was because he talked to the president of Mexico, who agreed to immediately supply 10,000 Mexican soldiers on the border separating Mexico and the United States. And my personal opinion is that Canada could also show something that the US would really like, and temporarily at least the tariffs would be paused. And this is actually huge Elon Musk news. The Treasury Department has just given Elon Musk's team access to the federal payment system so he can see exactly where all the payments go. It's basically like a checkbook which contains sensitive information about hundreds of millions of Americans, and Elon Musk now has access to it. And the demand for access to the payment system reportedly caused such a rift inside the Treasury Department that the career official who previously oversaw it was placed on administrative leave last week after he resisted granting Musk and his government efficiency team access to the database. So in theory, Musk could block some of these payments, but it would likely face legal challenges given that the money is approved by Congress. So while in theory he could do it, it's unlikely that he would actually do it. But Elon actually explained exactly why he's doing this. He quoted this post here, which says, "I bet Elon got to DC, asked, where is all the money going? And nobody could answer. So he asked how payments are made, and it turns out one department does them all. All of them." Elon agrees. That's exactly basically what happened. Yeah, exactly. The only way to stop fraud and waste of taxpayer money is to follow the payment flows and pause suspicious transactions for review, obviously. Naturally, this causes those who have been aiding, abetting, and receiving fraudulent payments very upset. Too bad, though. And this is really good news for Elon Musk. He received this letter from the U.S. Department of Justice, and it's written by the United States Attorney, Edward Martin, and he's basically trying to protect Elon. He wants to protect every single worker at DOGE, give them perhaps extra security, or if there have been any threats made against any of these workers, he wants to prosecute them to the full extent of the law. So this is very good for Elon, obviously overall, because he has support from the government officially. Well, this is slightly unfortunate for Elon. Ontario cancels the $100 million deal with Starlink as Trump's 25% tariffs loom. We know that Norway has a sovereign wealth fund, which is basically used to distribute wealth to their own citizens, but the money comes largely from oil. Interestingly, President Trump just signed an executive order calling for the creation of a sovereign wealth fund in the US, and Elon obviously supporting this move. By the way, Trump said earlier, if Canada retaliates to our 25% tariffs, we will double them, and Canada has retaliated. And Elon Musk says here, time to confess, media reports saying that DOGE as some of the world's best software engineers are in fact true. Also, during the space that Elon Musk just held yesterday, he said, the more I've gotten to know President Trump, the more I like him. I love the guy. He's great. Elon also said when you bring down government spending, you get a double benefit. Number one, you stop inflation and interest payments go down because the government is no longer borrowing money. And Trump just praised Elon Musk, saying that DOGE is making great progress. And Elon Musk said here, reducing the federal deficit from 2 to 1 trillion in 2026 requires cutting an average of $4 billion per day in projected 2026 spending from now to September 30th. And he is cautiously optimistic that we will reach this $4 billion per day target this weekend, actually. And by that, I believe he was referring to last Saturday and Sunday. Also, there were some reports of DOGE security breaches, but actually they are totally fake. Elon confirmed this here. And then Trump praised Elon again, saying that he's doing a great job. So he didn't just say this once, he's saying this over and over and over again. So the relationship between the two is definitely good. Elon, though, emphasizes that obviously there will be extreme opposition from the grifters, and they will make it sound like we are cutting funding to save baby pandas when we're actually cutting funding to fraudsters, waste rails, and terrorists. This is only possible because of President Trump. And here's the report that Elon was referencing when he was saying that DOGE has the best people. Farzad says, honestly, there's nothing that makes me more bullish about DOGE than this, and I agree with him fully. Elon has 6 Adderall-fueled autistic tech bro Zoomers sleeping overnight at the DOGE offices and working 24/7 to maximize government efficiency. It is interesting that Elon does have such young people on his team, 19 to 24. These are the 6 men identified here. But yeah, this is the Elon Musk way. Here's one thing that maybe Canada could do to at least temporarily put a pause on the tariffs from the US side. Canada doesn't even allow the US banks to do business there, says Trump. So maybe if you just allow them to come in, maybe that would make the US a little bit happier right now and temporarily put the tariffs on pause. Oh, and by the way, Trump will speak to Justin Trudeau today, and maybe they will sort it out, but we'll see. So I finished recording today's video, I finished reviewing it, and now I'm about to publish the video, and then I see this news come out. So obviously I need to put this in the video. I was right. This says that Trump is about to pause promised tariffs for 30 days after speaking with Trudeau. And actually both, the Prime Minister of Canada and the President of the US, they are both going to postpone the tariffs for at least 30 more days. So for now, no tariffs from either side. And now, back to the video. Trump today commented on Elon Musk having access to the payment system of the government. Elon can do and won't do anything without our approval, and we will give him the approval where appropriate, and where not appropriate, we will not. Where we think there's a conflict, we won't let him go near it. Also, Elon Musk commented on this. There have been multiple airplane and helicopter crashes recently. For example, this one, we just learned new information that the co-pilot had 500 flight hours and was under assessment, while the instructor pilot in charge had 1,000 hours. Considered supposedly very experienced. I'm not going to show the actual crash, but this is the helicopter and this is the civilian airplane, and they collided. And so Elon Musk posted this. This is messed up. This is from the Washington Times. FAA turned away qualified air traffic controllers based solely on race. This is quite unfortunate, but also what's weird to me is you have an airport here and you let helicopters regularly fly through here. I mean, you got planes taking off and landing constantly, so this mistake is unacceptable. Elon Musk is targeting closure of U.S. humanitarian aid agency called USAID, and Elon is saying that the corrupt politicians protesting outside the USAID building are the ones getting money from the agency. That's why they're there. They want your stolen tax dollars. Elon has been posting a lot. He's very active on X right now, and there's just a lot of news overall. And for Tesla, some good news and some news giving us a bigger buying opportunity, and I personally believe that Tesla stock is going to $1,000 per share, and then after that, well above it. My name is Matt Postius, and I will see you in the next video, probably on Wednesday. Although how much news there is out there, maybe I'll need to come back to posting videos a bit more often. And as I start to cover more news stories that are not related just to Tesla, I will probably come back with about 5 videos per week. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't yet, and I will see you in the next video.